From the Digital Media Soundstage here at Wellington High School, the Patricia Windley Center for the Performing Arts and the Wellington Music Store present Dialogue with the Dukes. I'm your host, Bill Berger, and this week, for the second week in a row, we're going to be talking about a sport that doesn't really have a lot of spectators involved. It's not like basketball or baseball or anything like that. The sport is called cross country. And to my immediate right, we have sophomore Scotty Hooks. Jeff is your dad, who is the coach. And we have Estella Oley. She is a junior. As I said, this is a, shall we say, non-spectator sport. As I said, there's not lots of people that are cheering you on. And we will talk first, during the first segment, about the team itself and what constitutes the team. And then after our commercial break, we'll talk about how these two people, along with the entire cross-country team, how they actually prepare, how they actually run, and things like that. So as I said, we have Scotty Hooks and we have Estella Oley. So our first question actually is to both of them, but we'll start with Estella, because women like to go first. Estella, how many years have you been running, and why did you decide to run and try out for the cross?
So this is actually my third year since I started my freshman year. I'd done track in junior high, so 7th and 8th grade, and I love track. I sprinted though, so I was a little bit nervous about the change from sprinting to distance.
Exactly.
But one of my really good friends, Hunter Legg, she runs, and she convinced me to decide to do cross country. So that's why.
Okay, and obviously I bet one of your answers is going to be as your dad.
Yep, I've been running for 4 years. I started in 7th grade, and my dad set records when he was in high school, and I wanted to join and try to break them.
Oh, that'd be great. You'd have it over to your dad. That would be fantastic. Well, Estella, this is the first year in at least several years that we've had both a boys and a girls team. You know, in previous years, it's been a combination of both. But we have both the boys and the girls team. Has there been like a culture change here at Wellington High School, or is it just a whole bunch of friends getting together and decide, I want to run cross?
I would say it's definitely a whole bunch of friends, because we're all just one big friend group in the cross country team. Some of my best friends are on it. There's definitely been a culture change too with the team and the people showing up. We have a lot more support and a lot of spectators due to the full size of the teams.
Well, Scotty, how have both teams done so far this year?
We've done really well so far. I think girls definitely have done really well. I think they placed 6th last meet. Boys are doing okay. We've had some injuries.
Oh, really?
So I think we lost 2 guys so far. One may have tore his ACL.
Ooh, that's not good.
Which, that wasn't related to cross country, but it
Uh-oh.
still took people off our team.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're doing good. We're setting records.
How many runners actually run during a meet for each team? Either one of you.
It's anywhere depending on the school size. So we're actually still one of the smaller teams. But I think the biggest team we've seen so far is like 15 runners for the girls, and then 15 separately for guys. So.
Now, how many meets are actually left in the season?
So we actually have 3 meets left in the season. This Saturday we have one at New London, and then next Saturday we have our conference, which is at Firelands High School, and then the week after that we have our districts, which is our last meet and a really important one.
And actually, the sectionals, you only have really one meet left as far as now. How many teams are going to be involved in that meet in New London?
There's 12.
There's 12.
12,
yeah.
is that
so
right?
Then conference we have the 8, and then districts tends to be a lot bigger.
Well, going along with that, Scotty, explain how the meets are actually run or how they're organized. And as I say, is it just several schools involved in each meet, or is there any time where there's maybe one team against another?
Usually there's a lot of teams. I mean, I think our biggest meet is 300 teams all come together. But we're organized into divisions, or by like junior high boys, junior high girls, high school boys and girls. So the races are smaller just because of those divisions. But it all depends on the meet, usually.
Now, as far as how they run, like you said something. Okay, we start maybe with junior high girls, then junior high boys. Is it all encompassing? In other words, you start, and then maybe 5 minutes go by, and then another, or they run the entire course, and then the next one.
Yeah, so it's all separate. You run
It is all
course,
separate.
and then half hour later, another one starts.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, I'm going to ask you this question, Estella, because it was Scotty's dad who set up the new cross-country course. What's the new cross-country course like, and where is it located?
So it's actually in behind the middle school parking lot near the soccer field. I like the course, but we have this insane hill on it that's really tiring, and we have to run that during our first mile, and then we have to run down that and up another hill immediately after. So other than that, it's honestly a really nice course, and I really enjoy running it.
Do those hills kind of separate the wheat from the chaff?
Yeah, and we're used to running them now, so seeing other teams run them and struggle a little bit more than us is really funny.
But you really enjoy the course, though.
Yeah.
Well, is, for lack of a, we know we have a new course, but as far as challenges are concerned, Scotty, do you enjoy running on a new course, or a course that you're familiar with, or a course that you've never run on? Ranked in top, as far as top 3.
All courses are different, just because some are in the woods, some are out in the open. I definitely enjoy running in the woods more.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you've been, stuff like that. You can't see what's happening. So I definitely like new courses better.
Okay. If you run in the woods, it must obviously be cooler as far as the sun, especially early in the fall.
Yeah.
Now, all of today though, it's rather warm out there today. So if you had a meet today, it would still be rather warm out there and rather wet and humid too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it must be hard. Well, when we come back after this break, we'll talk specifically about how these two young people actually train for the meets themselves and how they build their stamina. This is Dialogue with the Dukes. We are back. We hope that when you have the chance, especially around Christmas time, when you have a chance to go to Charm Farm here in downtown Wellington, they do specializing in making Christmas ornaments and things like that and helping you decorate your house for Christmas. We talked earlier during this segment about the team itself and what constitutes the team. The fact that we have both a boys and a girls team, which is something that's been actually new for the first time here at Wellington High School in at least several years. And how the team is actually made up, what actually goes on when they actually run the cross-country courses and things like that. Now, we want to talk about how each person prepares for a cross-country season itself. So we'll start with you, Estella. What's most important as far as the mental preparation for going into a cross-country meet?
Honestly, you just really have to stay positive, and that's probably the hardest part, actually. And you really need to think, and I always think this when I'm running, is my mind is going to give out before my body. My body can withstand so much, because Coach Hook actually told me that. My body can withstand so much. It's my mind, and it's me thinking I'm tired that's going to make me quit. So you just have to stay positive and know that you can finish it.
Mm-hmm. Is there ever a situation where you thought that you maybe could have done better in the meet?
Yeah, actually every meet, I think we all kind of get really hard on ourselves and disappointed when we're not PRing, which is personal record, but other than that, no.
Well, Scotty, we're talking about preparing yourself and things like that. How about mentally? Getting ready for a meet, how do you prepare mentally for a specific meet?
I think it's all just thinking about wanting to get a better time and try to get a really good place.
Mm-hmm. When you're doing that, do you have a specific goal in mind as far as, okay, this particular one, not like we know we have New London next, but then we have the sectionals. Do you have a specific goal that you want to try to meet during those, not necessarily the New London meet, but say the sectionals and going on to districts?
Usually we just set a time, like I want to get below 19 minutes, 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Hook actually does that up for a lot of us.
Does he actually set that goal?
Yeah.
Does he say, okay, we want you to do
and
this?
everything. So like I dropped 2 minutes on my time at the last meet. So he sets us a goal.
This isn't a question that I talked to you about, but how long is each cross-country course? Is there a specific number of miles, or is it all completely different?
5K is for high school, and then
Okay.
junior high will run at 2 miles.
Oh.
So a 5K is 3.1 if you didn't know that, and then the junior high does the 2 miles.
There's a lot of people out there that didn't know that. I have run 5K races before, but I've forgotten the 3.1 miles. Estella, now, you're actually running the meet. You're actually doing the running. You're in amongst a whole bunch of people. How do you actually pace yourself in order to meet that time that you would like to meet?
So that's actually something I've struggled with a lot. So this year I've definitely managed my pacing better. So I do it by mileage and mile time. So my first mile I want to be pretty fast. My second mile is going to be my more slower mile. And then my third mile I want it to be either faster than my first or in between my first and second. So that's how I personally pace myself, and I just try to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Here's another question that I neglected to bring up to you, but there's such a thing that's called rabbit, where one particular runner, to try to set the pace going along with himself. Is there somebody who decides, I'm going to be the rabbit, I'm going to just take off? Do we have any people during meets that actually do that, or is it just one fell swoop type thing?
We don't really have that. We do, in practice, we do things called rabbit runs where we do
Okay.
that. But in a meet, no, you just run your fast and how fast you can. So.
Well, Scotty, I jog to keep myself in shape, to keep my girlish figure, so to speak. Is there such a thing, and I don't know whether I've ever experienced it or not, but is there such a thing as a runner's high?
I would think so. I've never experienced it either, but I mean, I've heard people say that before, and I've seen people who can rapidly increase their mile time, especially at big meets where there's a lot of kids.
Well, I do remember when I was swimming in college specifically, the marching band during the fall would be out there practicing, and I had one of my fellow swimmers who was running behind me said that when I went past the band, for some reason I started running faster. I don't know if that was a runner's high or not, but that's, it's just one of those things, again, the pacing aspect and things like that. Well, Scotty, I have a question that I'm actually going to ask both of you. How is focus important during a meet, and how do you specifically focus?
Focus is definitely important, just so you don't run into other people or like things on the ground, because we run through the woods a lot, and there's roots on the ground that you have to watch for, and if you're not careful, then you're going to trip on it.
So you have to be looking both at the ground and the person that's in front of you, or people in front of you. Exactly. Estella, same question. How important is focus to you yourself?
Which also goes back to the mentality aspect that you asked me earlier. You need to focus on finishing and just getting through it, and focus on staying positive through the whole thing, and obviously focus on the ground and stuff. But
have either of you ever tripped on roots or anything like that, or tripped in front of somebody or people behind you?
I actually stepped on a walnut and fractured my ankle my freshman district.
Oh,
So
gosh.
yeah. And there was a snake I almost stepped on the other day, but other than that.
Oh, goodness. Well, again, for both of you, and we'll start with you, Estella, we know that Coach Hooks is the coach, and he obviously must have done a great job, because now we have two teams this year, which is something we haven't had, as we've already talked about, and he built a new cross-country course. How does he actually motivate you before a meet or prepare you for a meet?
So this question, I like this question. So when you run so hard, you'll puke a lot of times, and I've gone every meet since freshman year. I puked at least once. So he gives like this thing, however many times you puke, he owes you a milkshake or a smoothie. So that motivates me to run harder and puke and get one of those.
Oh, that's
And he's
good.
really positive and supportive.
Now, it's got to be different for you, Scotty, that being your dad being the coach. It's got to be a little bit different as far as motivation or preparation for you.
Yeah, so I think what I find most motivating is how he gives me times to meet and just how he gets me to try and run with the guy in front of me. Especially during meets, he'll yell at us and encourage us.
Now, maybe this is personal, but do you talk about cross-country running at home?
Yes, especially when he's planning practice.
Oh, I see. Do you actually get to help him plan for practices?
He's one of our captains, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
so somewhat. Not that much.
Is he, you said something about yelling, is he a positive motivator, a negative motivator, or like in between?
Mostly positive.
Mostly positive. Would you agree, Estella?
Yeah, he's only been nothing but positive to me, but obviously the son-coach relationship's definitely different.
Well, I think the fact that, I've never heard the fact that if you puke, you get a milkshake or something like that, but I guess that could provide motivation. Maybe not necessarily for you, for when you're actually doing that, but the milkshake must be nice. Well, we would like to thank both Scotty Hooks and Estella Oley for coming in and talking to us about cross country. Again, not necessarily a spectator sport. It isn't like the fact that you have hundreds of people around you cheering you on, and it's nothing like, I was thinking about this morning, where cross country, you're continuing to run the whole time. There's not, the closest I would maybe come to it might be soccer, where you're running up and down the field. But baseball, football, softball, anything like that, there's always breaks in between. Whereas in cross country, you're continuing to run the whole time. And even in soccer, like they'll go down, because you have certain positions, whereas in cross country, there's no particular position per se, you're running the whole time. So that impresses me, because even though, as I said, I jog a lot, but I don't say that I don't particularly enjoy that, but I do it to keep up physically, especially at my advanced age. So I am especially impressed with both of you being able to run those distances and not stop at all, and running for specific times and things like that. So again, we thank Estella and Scotty for coming in. We will be back again very soon with another installment of Dialogue with the Dukes.